Good evening. There's more that unites us than divides us, but you could certainly make the argument that the people we elect don't seem to subscribe to that belief. That is the pulse of America tonight. Here are the numbers from Gallup. Those of us affiliated with a party split right down the middle, 29% each. But take a look at that. 41% of us identify as independent. And it's that 41% former presidential candidate Andrew Yang wants to target. We're going to speak with him in just a minute. But first, let's look at some recent political history. Senator Kyrsten Sinema chased at an airport, confronted on an airplane, and into a bathroom. All of this by progressives, and she's a Democrat. Andrew Yang is banking on some of these changes as he embarks on a mission to form a third party called the Forward Party. I am confident that no longer being a Democrat is the right thing, Yang says. Again, he will join us to talk more about that in a minute. Meantime, the New Republic, which takes exception to Yang's third-party venture, says this about Kyrsten Sinema. There's only one Democrat for whom I wish future defeat, scandal, and humiliation. Again, that's a left-leaning publication. And the Republicans have issues of their own. The current standard-bearer of the party, former President Trump, said this week, if we don't solve the presidential election fraud of 2020, Republicans will not be voting in 22 or 24. It is the single most important thing for Republicans to do. The election fraud issue has been solved. There were a handful of questionable cases in a couple of states, but not nearly enough to sway the election. It appears the Republicans do have a golden opportunity in 22 and 24, based solely on President Biden's current approval rating, 38%, according to Quinnipiac University, and also the ongoing issues we're seeing with the supply chain and the economy. Yet the former president is urging his supporters not to vote over an old, unproven gripe. So is it time for Republicans to move on or move forward, as Andrew Yang might suggest? Yes, pun intended. Democrats, meantime, need to stop attacking each other from within. But will either of them listen or change? Or is Andrew Yang the man with the solution? That's where we begin tonight with Andrew Yang himself, also author of the book called Forward. Andrew, it's great to have you with us. We appreciate the time. I'm sure you've heard this from others when we talk about people leaving a party. I'm not leaving the party left me. Where are you on that?
Polarization's getting worse and worse, Joe. We can all feel it. And unfortunately, our incentives are driving people into corners and nothing is getting done. And most Americans can see it's not working. We're sick of it. You just showed a graphic showing that independents outnumber Democrats or Republicans. So the Forward Party is going to provide this positive, unifying movement in the middle that will draw in a ton of energy, but also will try and fix the incentives that are tearing us apart, whether that's our political incentives that reward people on the extremes, our media incentives that separate us into ideological camps, or social media that rewards inflammatory and divisive language much more than a voice of reason. If we change the incentives, then we'll have a chance.
So it was the polarization, Andrew, that drove you out? It wasn't anything in particular that led you to say, look, I'm done. I've had enough of this party.
I learned a lot running for president, Joe, and what I concluded is that the system's not designed to work for the American people. And so if you find that and believe that, and you're a patriot and you want to do something to help, then you can't just keep pushing in this system that you know is broken. We have to fix the system itself, and that change cannot happen from within one of the major parties, which is why I've started the Forward Party. This country wants to move not left or right, but forward, and there's a real path for us if we shift to open primaries and ranked choice voting so that third parties emerge.
Which you've seen. I wanted to ask you about that because you wrote, in many respects, running for president requires qualities that would make you a terrible leader. What do you mean by that?
I've run organizations, Joe, and the more someone is chasing press, the worse their organizations tend to function. But in politics, and certainly running for president, the opposite is true, where your job is actually to chase TV cameras, no offense.
Okay.
Or to be doing press and interviews as opposed to trying to get things working better on the ground. It also does kind of mess with your head because people hang on your words. You're surrounded by staff that theoretically work for you, but they actually are telling you to do this and do that at all times. You end up giving rise to like a cottage industry in the political industrial complex.
You mentioned the media, and you were recently on CNN. Here's Jim Acosta pressing you on why you went on Tucker Carlson's show on Fox.
just a bad person, and he represents so much of what is wrong in television news these days. You know this all too well. He spouts off white nationalist talking points, and so why would you even go on his show?
This, Andrew, I think is actually what you're trying to prevent, right? I mean, this is what you're going after, part of it anyway, the echo chamber in both politics and in TV, to insinuate maybe that you shouldn't go on another network. That's actually maybe arguably where you should be, right? To try to make your points with people who may not believe you.
I met thousands of Americans out on the trail of every political alignment in small towns and big cities. And if you get Americans one-on-one, face-to-face, we actually agree on a lot. People are very reasonable. People are actually very warm, kind, and generous. But in the media, we're getting separated again into these tribes or camps. And it's not where America wants to go, really. Like, if we are truly divided in that way, we're never going to be able to come together and make meaningful progress.
All right, so I'm curious, why start a third party then, Andrew? Because I don't need to tell you the history. And a lot of the reviews that I've seen on what you're trying to do here, one called it pure self-abuse. Others called it a fake party. Others said the philosophy was nothing more than talking points and buzzwords. Another called it directionless. I would summarize what I saw as laudable but laughable. What do you make of this criticism? A lot of it's coming from the left.
If you look at the numbers, not only do independents outnumber Democrats or Republicans, but a record high 62% of Americans want a third party or an alternative. We can all see that the duopoly is not working. So the question is, what changes? If a majority of us want there to be a genuine alternative and a more dynamic political system, then we have the power to make that happen. Now, there are going to be a lot of entrenched interests that want nothing to change, even though we can see that it is not delivering for us and our families. People are getting more and more inflamed. This country is heading towards political violence. That's real. And the only way out is for us to have a genuinely multipolar system where it's not just two sides clashing and getting nothing done and dividing us and pitting us against each other.
I certainly get that, Andrew, but no one's been able to harness this independent fatigue, if you will, that you mentioned. I mean, you can talk about Ross Perot, certainly made a respectable run in 1992, and you could argue that it cost Bush 41 a second term. And we all remember Ralph Nader in 2000, and we have a look at some of the results from Florida in that race, which I think you could certainly argue cost Al Gore the presidency in 2000. My point, I guess, Andrew, that you could hope for, really, at least if you look at recent history, is being a spoiler.
Well, Joe, you're fast forwarding to 2024, and my focus, and I believe our attention should be on 2022, which is we can have successful ballot initiatives in states around the country that shift to open primaries, change the incentives of our leaders. We can elevate candidates who are for lowercase d democratic reforms. That's where we should be paying attention. Everyone just fast forwards to the presidential, and I get it because I ran for president. But there's a lot of work to do in the here and now, and I'm going to roll up my sleeves and help candidates who are aligned with the Forward Party's vision on the Democratic side, the Republican side, running as independents. And a lot of people are excited about it because, like you said, it's most of us.
Well, it is, but I think what the other concern here is that when you have a situation like this where you're playing spoiler, again, I understand your point on that, but the other thing is that there are folks in your own party who would rather you not do this. So why not possibly summon a new group within the party like Bernie Sanders has done maybe, or even the Squad? You can argue that maybe they wouldn't be able to, I guess, form their own party, but they've certainly been an effective force within the party.
That wouldn't really help with the polarization that we're seeing get worse and worse, and also would be impossible to enact open primaries and ranked choice voting in blue states and red states and purple states if you were coming at it as someone who is a member of one of the major parties, because then the other side would regard it as somehow helping the other side. Even though in this case, what it's really doing is it's going to help the American people have leaders that actually are looking out for us, as opposed to the hyper partisans on either side.
Well, on both sides, true. And we've seen, as we mentioned, Kyrsten Sinema and other lawmakers getting chased through restaurants and through airports, into bathrooms. Is this part of what you want to get rid of? And I guess, is this something you can change with this third party or hope to?
Right now, a lot of energy ends up flowing to the extremes, Joe, because that's where social media drives people. That's where media organizations drive people. But it's also where political incentives drive people. Where if I'm raising an alarm about a particular issue and being very sensationalist, I'm more likely to get money and attention and to some extent, political prominence. So what we have to do is shift to a system that will actually reward the folks in the reasonable middle and disempower the extremes that right now, unfortunately, our system rewards.
Are you going to run for anything else, Andrew?
My focus is on trying to help reasonable people get into office and fixing the system that's literally driving us insane, pitting us against each other. It's going to result in unrest and worse, and we all know that. So what are we waiting for? Let's actually fix it. If you want to fix it with me, let's get in there, change the incentives, switch that dial, and reward the reasonable among us.
Andrew Yang, former Democrat and now Forward Party founder. We'll stay in touch and see how it goes. Good luck to you, sir. Thanks again for the time.
Thank you, Joe. Great seeing you.
Let's get some reaction now from Hugo Gurdon, our friend from the Washington Examiner. He's the editor-in-chief. Hugo, it's been a little while. It's good to see you again, my friend. I'm curious, you've been doing some big picture political thinking. Is Andrew Yang onto something here?
You know, I don't think that a third party is likely to be successful. I mean, what happens is as you get closer to an election, the people who say that they are independent actually sort of generally tend to filter toward one of the two parties, right. and the number of people who are really independent and who can be swayed is much smaller. You know, I think that but he does make one point, and that is that a very valid one, and that is about the division in the country. One of the things that we are very concerned about at the Washington Examiner, and it's why we launched this new site called Restoring America, is that the pace of change in what I believe and what a lot of people across the country believe is a kind of cultural and political revolution that is taking place now is so fast, and the values that have made this country great for more than 2 centuries are being undermined and questioned so much that the country is being pulled apart. One of the things that we want to persuade people is, and one of the foundations of conservatism is, that you have to respect the past without snuffing out the hopes of the future. Well, that means allowing the country to evolve, allowing it to change, but not at a pace which makes people not be able to recognize their country. It has to be done at a pace which which allows people to be united and feel a common purpose as Americans.
You write, the nation is uncomfortable, not at peace with itself. It is bitterly divided, and without unity, there is no common purpose. Hugo, I read that and I think, is this really more about, I think, the fringes who are controlling politics rather than, as you mentioned, the vast majority in the middle who want to see change?
Yeah, you know, I believe that is true. I think one of the things that we want to do with the Restoring America campaign is to make people realize that ordinary people, that they are the majority and they are still in charge if they choose to be so. One of the things that people often, I mean, most people do not spend their time obsessing with politics.
Right.
They've got much more productive things to do with their lives. They have families, they have hobbies, they have sports, they have their homes. They don't want to spend their entire time obsessing about politics. And so they're quite likely to shrug off the arguments and the squabbles, and they say, oh, that's just politics. The problem with that is that it allows people who are much more activist to take control. And you can see that in, for example, what is being taught in schools. There is at the moment a nationwide rebellion of parents who have seen during the pandemic what their children are actually being taught. And it's produced sort of wildfires all over the country, particularly actually close to Washington in Loudoun County, where parents are enraged by what their children are being taught. And what is happening is ordinary people are becoming more engaged and saying, no, we're not going to have our children taught these, propagandized on race and transgender, et cetera.
Right.
It needs more engagement from people.
More engagement. You say it's time to stop. Indeed, it's long past. The question is, as we all watch these divisive issues cause even more anger and division in the country, how do we get there, Hugo?
We have to get there by people, as I say, people have to realize that that there needs to be a revival of the sort of fundamental ideas that made this country great. I mean, it's sort of us versus them, though, Hugo. That's what it's become, right? It has become us versus them, but it doesn't have to be that. As I say, conservatism is not about preventing all change. It's about changing at a pace that allows the majority of the people to go along with it. It means that policies should be policies should be ones which the majority approves. That means not framing policy to appeal to this small group and that small group, which divides people in bitter competition. The trouble with the government that we have right now is that policies are being framed for minorities to pull the country apart and make everybody dependent on the central power. What we need is a revival of patriotism and unity, of belief in America, of the courage, strength, and unity that made America great for 2 centuries. And what we want to do with restoring America is to foster that idea. We want to do our part. It's going to take a very sustained effort by a lot of people over a long time to do this, but everybody has to do their part.
Well, it is certainly an ambitious project. Restore America, part of the Washington Examiner's platforms. You'll find it there. Hugo Gurdon, Washington Examiner Editor-in-Chief. Good to see you again. Thanks for the time.
Thanks.
Been a rough week for the NFL. Now they want to keep sealed the details of their race-based concussion payments for a league that says it's about transparency. Is this hypocrisy none too subtle? Plus, a student gets into a fight with a teacher. And the 13-year-old girl had more to say about it when she got home after getting choked by her teacher. We'll have more on that altercation and how the school is responding ahead. And here's a new one. An unvaccinated man walks into a bar and leaves ready to get his first dose. So what did he have to drink? Or more importantly, who did he talk with who changed his mind? And don't forget, you can follow us on social media at The Donlon Report on Twitter. All right, you may have heard this before. A man, a doctor, and a priest walk into a bar. Maybe a familiar joke, but the punchline is a little different here. We actually had the priest on yesterday, for what it's worth. Today, we want to introduce you to the doctor, Duane Mitchell, and the man, Mark Hall, who was unvaccinated. That's Mark on the right, the doc on the left. After a conversation in a bar and maybe a pint or two, Mark left with an appointment to get the vaccine. Here to tell their story, live, joining us, Dr. Duane Mitchell and Mark Hall. Gentlemen, when we heard about this story, we really wanted to get you on because this is a great example of how it can and should work. Let's start with you, Mark. How did this happen? Were you guys in the same group, or did you just end up sitting next to each other?
It was a packed house, and we just kind of pulled up a chair. I was actually with my wife, and Dr. Mitchell had stopped by. Anyone sitting in this chair? And I just kind of slid it over and said, hey, it's yours now. And lo and behold, now we're here.
Yeah. So, doctor, how did it come up, and how did the conversation go? How did it unfold?
Yeah, sure. So I was looking for a spot for dinner. As mentioned, it was a packed house, so I ended up sitting next to Mark and ordered an appetizer, which he let me know didn't think was a very good choice. And
it wasn't healthy?
No, it was too healthy.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Brussels sprouts.
It was Brussels sprouts, and he said you could keep that to yourself. It sounds awful. And we kind of both, of course, chuckled at that. But that got us talking. He asked what I did. I mentioned I did some research and led cancer research, actually, here at the University of Florida. So we started a conversation, actually, initially about the topic of cancer research, but it quickly migrated over to COVID pandemic and what was my opinion and thoughts on the vaccine.
Right. So you didn't share the appetizer, but Mark, you shared some questions with the doctor. Give us the one main reason you hadn't gotten the shot and how Dr. Mitchell got you to yes.
The biggest thing is everything's all over the place still to this day. If you're searching without talking to somebody of Dr. Mitchell's caliber, you're in Google, on every other search engine that you can think of, and one thing leads to another, and they're all different. They all have a little bit of discrepancies between them, and you start to question, okay, well, is that right? Is this right? Or is that wrong? And so it just really, I look at it a glass half empty, I guess. I'm like, well, if there's one person saying something bad, it probably is not so bad, but there's a lot of it. And so with the adverse side effects of everything coming out, and I looked at everything, proteins, all the testing, and how we were doing the testing.
Wow.
So it was a lot. And just to sit there and have a genuine conversation, it was an experience, and nonetheless.
Yeah, doctor, the thing that interested me about this is that we've heard about changing people's minds, and there really is sort of a science to it, and we hear a lot about using the carrot more than the stick. I guess this is what you did. You sort of used the carrot. You just sat and talked and answered their questions. Do you think anything you did is different than what Dr. Fauci or our health officials have been doing or could be doing better?
You know, that's a great question. Obviously, there are a large number of people who've invested an incredible amount of time, both in research and communication and getting information out to the public. You know, I think ours was obviously a chance encounter. And the goals of the conversation, from my standpoint, was just to really understand Mark's point of view, his questions, and, you know, do the best I could to try to provide reliable information and answers from what I had researched and what I had known.
So you didn't really try to persuade him, huh?
I did not go into it with an expectation that, you know, I was going to persuade him to change his mind or his opinion about vaccines. But I thought as long as he was interested and I could provide some information, it might be helpful now, it might be helpful down the road. So there was no explicit agenda other than to exchange the information and also understand his perspective and what he had learned from the information that he had already received.
Right. Mark, I'm guessing people will watch this and think if all it took was a sit down with the doctor, why hadn't you done that with your own doctor?
I actually have quite a few times.
Wow.
And I respect him very much. It's just, again, he would say, you know, get the vaccine, it's safe, I have it. You know, my wife has been vaccinated. I've seen, you know, 0 to no side effects in family and friends. And I just always ride that line of, you know, good and bad. And we're a family of 3. And so the biggest thing for me was my wife is vaccinated, I wasn't. And I said, well, if something were to go wrong to a vaccinated person, or if she were, my wife in this instance, have side effects, maybe it wouldn't affect me and I could still be there to care for my child. So I was really trying to think logically with the information that was out in the internet on top of really just thinking, you know, for my personal family.
Right. Doctor, I'll give you the last word. What did it mean to you to be by his side there as he got the vaccine?
Well, it was obviously Mark's decision, and you know, I was really glad to see him, you know, follow through. He's obviously a man of his word. He reached out, and after our conversation, said, "Hey, my wife and I have been talking about it. We want to come back and make this happen." You know, I felt like I played a small role, a serendipitous encounter, and it was really gratifying to see him and his family. They have a beautiful family, and to see them make a decision together to do what's best to protect them going forward.
Well, it's just a fantastic story, and maybe you can spend a little more time there at the bar, Doctor, perhaps, and work your magic, I guess. But listen, I want to thank you both, Dr. Duane Mitchell and Mark Hall, for sharing this story, because it really is an important one. Have a great night and a good weekend, gentlemen.
Thank you. You too.
Been a rough week for the NFL. Now they want to keep sealed the details of their race-based concussion payments. I'm going to speak with a former player fighting the case. Ahead.
I began to notice things with my behavior, and I began to notice things with slipping, and I began to notice my patience was running thin with people I kind of loved and cared about.
It's been a bad week for the NFL. Las Vegas Raiders coach John Gurdon resigned after racist emails surfaced, and the league is facing another controversy tonight. The NFL was supposed to give an update on settlement payouts stemming from concussions and CTE in former players. Remember, the league admitted to, quote, race norming in its CTE metrics that basically made it harder for African-American players to receive money for brain injuries. New information on the NFL's race norming was set to be released today, but they've asked for a delay and now want to withhold the entire study from the public. For a league that is promising to be transparent, that is certainly raising some questions tonight. Here to talk more about this is NewsNation investigative journalist Rich McHugh. He has been on this story from the beginning. Rich, bottom line this for us. So what does the delay mean, and is there any indication about the outcome, and is it a victory for players?
So basically, they filed, the lawyers involved in this mediation filed a request, a last-minute request last night to get an extension to the 20th of October, which is next Wednesday. in that request, they filed a request that it be sealed. Just today, Judge Anita Brody granted both of those requests. Now, what that means is that we will hear next Wednesday or before that this deal has been reached or this agreement has been reached, but it's going to be sealed, and it's unclear how this actually goes forward, because it will involve, you know, thousands of players who have been race normed. The NFL admitted in June that it did race norm many of these players. They're upset now because they're saying, wait a minute, the NFL promised transparency. This is anything but transparency, and you know, everybody's kind of waiting to see like what exactly comes on Wednesday or before.
So does that mean that the NFL will correct this, Rich? In other words, will the NFL go back and then redo these cases where players were denied settlement money? And we're talking about thousands of these cases, right?
Now, yes, that's exactly right. Thousands. Now, what's officially on the record, nobody knows. What I'm hearing from conversations I'm having from people close to this is that, yes, they will go back and rescore every player that was race normed and use what's called the raw data. They're going to go back and get the original, you know, data from these doctors and run that through the battery of tests. And you know, it should correct everyone who was denied after being race normed.
Right.
So there's a lot more to come. You know, you're going to speak to Leonard Marshall in a second, but there's a lot of people are saying this could be a victory, but why is it being sealed? And that
did the
is a big question
NFL
mark
ask for
right
that,
now.
Rich, or was it the judge?
I'm told that it was the judge. I don't have that as proof or as concrete, you know, reportable, but that's what I'm hearing, that it was the judge wanted to get the report in her hand, get the agreement in her hands, read it, process it, and then at a certain point it will be unsealed.
Okay, so it's
I can't imagine that this can continue without it being unsealed, because how are they going to administer this whole thing if it's sealed?
All right, well, we'll continue to watch as that next deadline approaches. Rich McHugh, thanks again for the update. And as Rich mentioned, I want to bring in now one of the former players who is part of this CTE lawsuit. Leonard Marshall played 12 seasons in the NFL. It's great to see you again, Leonard. Thanks for the time. I'm just curious, first of all, you've been arguably the biggest voice to take this case on. What does it mean for you to have to wait now and wait for this delay? But it appears this is going to come out in your favor.
Well, it appears that way. I mean, you know, we've been dealing with this now for over 10 years, and we've been trying to get to a point of vindication for 10 years. And what I'm not understanding is for the judge to want to seal the record and not share this data after, you know, saying, hey, look, we've been transparent the entire time. We will continue to be transparent. We want to be transparent with these players. And even though they've been wronged, and we've admitted that they've been wronged, you know, now all of a sudden we don't want to be transparent again. I mean, which one is it? Either you're pregnant or you're not. So the situation still exists. You know, I'm quite sure there's a lot of families that are in dire need of some sort of clarity here, and I'm one of them. I mean, you know, my test was scored and then rescored a couple of additional times. I mean, if you saw, you know, the communication between myself and a couple other players on 60 Minutes, you know, CBS had the test rescored twice. And all the players that were rescored twice using the raw data, all of them passed the mustard test.
Right.
So why are we still doing this? Is it delay, deny, and hope we die? Which one is it?
Wow. Will you be okay, Leonard, in the end if this isn't released?
You know, if it's not released, will I be okay? Of course. As long as this works out in the favor for me and my family, and some of these other players that are out there struggling in their families, because after all, that's what it's about right now. You know, if I wanted to make this all about Leonard Marshall, you know, I could be banging the tum-tum and saying it's all about me. It's not all about me. It's all about guys that don't have a voice. Guys that don't have a voice, don't have a platform. No one will listen to them. They played in a small NFL city. and they weren't a marquee player to grab the attention of spotlight to be able to discuss this. And I think it's sad, very sad, that for players and families that have to go through this, and then them now talk about not being transparent.
Leonard,
it's unfair.
I know, as I mentioned, you've been out front on this. Do you think it'll cost you in any way, maybe a bid for the Hall of Fame?
Well, I go back to that from time to time. I think it's cost me a bit. I think it's cost me something, with my parent team, the team that drafted me to play, the team where my heart is, the 53 guys or 52 guys I went to battle with in Super Bowl 21 and Super Bowl 25, and all the accolades and everything else I earned as a New York Football Giant. I love the New York Giants. I love that organization. I love what myself and my teammates, the journey we went through, the struggles we went through, good, bad, and indifferent. But this is a situation that pertains to right and wrong. And right now, it's on the wrong side of history. It needs to be on the right side of history. And those that are in dire need, and there's many of them out there. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, they don't want to come forth because they feel like they'll be, crucified like I have.
You have been. What's the response been?
Well, just go to Big Blue Interactive, or go to any one of these New York Giant websites, and you'll see what the fans are talking about. Leonard Marshall put it all in as a player. I gave everything I could give to the New York Football Giants and my teammates, and love those guys to death. I mean, working with Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Mark Bavaro, Pepper Johnson, Gary Reasons, Carl Banks, and I can stand Mark Collins and just name Everson Walls and just name names of guys that I love so dearly. Even my friend Dave Durison, who was a former Chicago Bear, right, and who passed away because of CTE. He actually took his own life yeah, because he was on the wrong side of things. It's just very sad, guys.
Hey, Leonard, where's the union on this? Do you think, in your opinion, has the union done enough to help former players on this issue?
I think Mr. Smith has done a great job in staying out of the media, making this all about his players that he represents and their families. I think Mr. Smith and his staff have done a fine job. I hate what has gone on of late with Mr. Gurdon, and I don't know enough about it to really make an in-depth comment, but I will say it's just, part of a flawed system that, you have a situation where a guy like Bob Kraft goes into a sex shop, gets into all the stuff he gets into. You have players that go do the same thing. How come the players in the spotlight and the owners aren't? How come you have how come it's double standards for players versus management and ownership? I don't get that. So there's a lot of this stuff that's going on right now between league and player that can be kind of, split hairs, guys. Let's call a spade, do the right thing, and be done with it.
All right. Leonard Marshall, it's great to see you. And, man, to hear all those names, that brings back some memories. Those were fun teams to watch, my friend. Take care. And, again, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you very much, partner. Thanks for having me.
You bet. The Brian Laundrie hunt continues. We have a live update from NewsNation's Brian Entin in Northport, Florida, ahead. And remember the mullet contest we told you about last week? Well, there's a winner. And guess what? He's coming on. We got him live ahead. Some advice on how he maintains the rockin' locks. Don't go away. Like many cities in America, crime, especially violent crime, is a major problem. In Chicago as well, the number of murders, sexual assaults, and shootings have all gone up this year compared to last. And to make things worse, there's a new challenge. The police union is in a vaccine standoff with Mayor Lightfoot. Joining me now for more on the dispute is NewsNation's Keleigh Beeson. Keleigh, let's start with some breaking news because we understand the judge has now put a gag order on the union. They're not allowed to talk publicly, at least, about this vaccine mandate until October 25th. Is there more you can add to that?
No, you got that right, Joe. And this has really turned into a standoff between the mayor and the police union. Both have filed complaints against the other. And now we're waiting to see how many police officers may enter that no pay status. The issue at hand, of course, is police officers submitting their vaccination status to the city. The mayor requiring all officers to do so by today, stating that any officer who does not comply will be placed on that no pay status. Now, the head of the police union stating that the city doesn't have the authority to do that or enforce that requirement, and that the terms violate collective bargaining rights. But the mayor disagrees.
What we've seen from the Fraternal Order of Police, and particularly the leadership, is a lot of misinformation, a lot of half-truths, and frankly flat-out lies in order to induce an insurrection.
Now, the mayor has more recently said that this no-pay status likely won't go into effect this weekend. She's asking all officers who are on the schedule to report for duty.
Right, and that was the fear, Keleigh, for sure, that the police force might be down 50% this weekend in Chicago, but it looks like at least that part of it has been averted. Keleigh Beeson, thank you for the update. The search for Brian Laundrie intensifying at the Carlton Reserve in Florida. Officers involved in the search now wearing tactical gear. Joining me now, NewsNation's Brian Entin. So what's the latest with the search today, Brian?
Well, they were back out at the reserve all day long again, Joe. We went out there this morning and saw something we haven't ever seen before. You mentioned it. Many of the officers there were in tactical gear. They were in camouflage. They had assault rifles on them. Some of them were running at one point. We weren't sure exactly what was going on, if there was some kind of urgent update with the search. Well, it turns out, according to Northport Police, there wasn't. They say that they were searching as normal in the reserve, but also conducting a training mission at the same time, and that's why we saw the people in the gear and with the assault rifles. The law enforcement experts who I've spoken to today said that is somewhat unusual for there to be training going on if you think there could possibly be a dangerous murderer in the area. But regardless, that is what police said was happening, both the search and the training happening at the same time.
Brian, I know you've talked with Northport Police recently, and is there any sign at all that this search might slow down a little bit as the, I guess, clues or leads start to dry up?
So the interesting thing, Joe, is Northport Police, while they're the ones out doing the search, it's really the FBI in control, basically telling them what to do and where to search and when to search. And it's my sense that Northport Police isn't fully kept in the loop with everything happening with this investigation, since the FBI is being so careful. So it's been pretty much silent. We don't really know what's going on behind the scenes.
Is there any indication that things are slowing down?
It certainly feels that way. I mean, you've got a lot of people questioning, could this become a cold case? But at the same time, they're still searching every single day. It's very active at the reserve. So at this point, at least, it's still an active case.
Yeah, and so they haven't said that they'll continue to search until a certain period or a point in time, then?
They haven't given us a timeline. I wouldn't really expect that they would, though. But every day for the last couple of days, they've been out there. So we fully expect that they'll continue searching the reserve. And obviously, there have been possible sightings that have popped up in other parts of the country that they continue to investigate.
All right. Brian Entin, live for us in Florida. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. On Balance with Leland Vittert is next at the top of the hour. And Leland's with us right now for a preview. What do you have?
Oh, we got a couple things. We're going to talk about Kyrie Irving. And it's pretty interesting. His actions of standing up for something he believes in, sacrificing millions of dollars of salary, kind of makes us think of an ad. Remember that ad by Colin Kaepernick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. So we're going to talk about that a little bit and see if he's getting his due for standing up for what he believes in.
And at this point, he's off the roster, right? Or will he play in cities where this mandate isn't in effect? Because it affects New York, obviously.
It affects New York and California and a number of others. And interestingly enough, this is a player for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know much about basketball. I've never heard of him before. But no, he's done. So
he's not playing at all.
Not playing at all. He's on the bench, and the Nets said, "Look, we're not going to have a player who can practice sometimes and not others, and who can only travel but can't be on the team when we're at home games, on and on and on." So there's no accommodation for him, and he says, "This is not only my right, but this is my choice, and I'm going to stand up for it." It's interesting to see how few people who advocate so vigorously for people's choice are standing up for him.
Well, they were the favorite, and I know a lot of Brooklyn fans and the owner, I'm sure, would love to have him on, but not going to happen. More on that at the top of the hour, yep. Leland. Thank you. Well, get ready to rock, because we're going to talk about rocking the mullet, and we're going to talk with the champion. We'll ask him what he did with the prize money, because that's a great part of this story. And how can I get my mullet to look half that good? We'll talk with him next. This whole thing is... Remember the story we covered earlier this week about the U.S. Mullet Championships? The kids division, it's a story that captured our attention and hearts. Here's the winner right there, Alan Baltz from Jonesboro, Arkansas. His golden locks took home the gold, and we wanted to speak with him, so he joins us live for the American Snapshot tonight. Alan, congratulations, my friend.
Hi.
What do you think?
A black, but it's cool.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the top 10, and you won this whole thing. What'd you think when you won?
I was very excited.
Yeah. So tell me what you're going to do with the money, because that's a great part of this story.
I'm going to give it to foster care, Project Zero, and Together We Foster.
And why are you doing that?
Because I know how it feels to be in foster care, and I want the kids to be happy.
Yeah? And what do your parents think about what you're doing with the money?
Well, my mom said that she thinks I'm awesome, and my dad thinks I'm so cool.
Yeah, well, we all think you're awesome. Hey, any tips for the product or anything else? What do you suggest? What do you do with yours?
Brush it.
Just brush it? No blow drying at all?
Well, make it warm.
All right. So I have one more question. So do I go ponytail next or man bun? What do you think? What are we going for here?
Man bun.
Man bun. Hey, listen, eat your vegetables, and someday your mullet will look as good as mine.
Okay.
He's not impressed. Have a good weekend. Take care. Thanks for the time, Alan. Leland's next.